Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Monday, June 9th, 2025 Maplewood City Council meeting. We have just about a packed room. I have to say, these are always my very favorite council meetings. There's just energy in the room. We're going to be bringing up some new firefighters tonight, and so we've got families, young children. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it to support your loved one or your family member or your friend. I wanted to say a special thanks to our, and it's so good that many of you are here, our fire and EMS department for the great bike rodeo that you put on Saturday. It was really a fun event, and I will say that I biked over to the bike rodeo, and I'm going to guess that I was probably the oldest one that went through the bike rodeo safety check. I got this for my bike. I got checked off for my helmet for the bike tune-up, and it was done by Strauss right here in Maplewood. Rules of the ride, and then there was a course that I had to pass with stop signs and looking both ways, and you bet I looked both ways. So it was really a wonderful event, so thank you for that. Also during the that bike rodeo event, we offered up kind of an informal opportunity to get some input from our residents about our budget. We have already started talking about our budget for 2026, and one of the things that we did was, well, wasn't the council that did it, it was Joe Rube, our finance director, and he put together a wonderful little survey for the families that came to the bike rodeo. And I'm going to turn it over in just a minute to have Joe talk about what we did. It's informal, but it was one means of our residents being able to communicate with us about what matters with the budget. You know, budgets, I think, are really challenging, especially these days. They seem to be harder to kind of bring everything together. And so community input on a lot of different levels is certainly welcomed by myself and by our council. So this was a very informal way that people could vote on what they really value, so that we can take that into consideration when we look at making our budget decisions for 2026. We also have some other events. This is one of the forms that was passed out. This has been in the Maplewood Living, but I just wanted to announce that at our two meetings in August 11th and August 25th, we are going to be doing a budget review, and there will be recommendations that will be made to the council. And what we are going to do is open it up for some public comment. So if anyone would like to come and share their ideas about putting together the budget, what are their values, what do they care about, what are their priorities, we're going to open that up and hear from our residents and our businesses as we proceed to set the budget. The way this works is that in September, the council will have to make a determination as to our max levy increase for next year. That's the maximum amount of tax increase that we could decide upon. And then, of course, we can always lower it, but by the end of the year, by the end of December, the council has to vote on the actual levy. We can go down from that max levy, but we can't go above it. So people will have a pretty good look at what the budget is going to shape up to be for 2026, probably after that September meeting. So just a couple of those things coming up that I think are going to be another opportunity. There's also a chance, if you would like to fill out a survey concerning the budget, we've got a QR code. It's also on our website, so residents and businesses in Maplewood can go on and answer the survey questions. We want your input. We want to hear what your ideas are. We want to hear what matters so that we can make a budget that really represents our city. So that, you can look forward to that in August. So, a lot of things happening. It's summertime. We've got this great opportunity with firefighters, but I want to start with, we'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance, and we have some repeats. We have got Piper and Leo. They have already done our Pledge of Allegiance once before. City Clerk Sint is going to note their names so that they will be in our minutes for the next meeting. Can I ask Piper and Leo to come up to the dais? And they are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome, Piper and Leo.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic from which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Piper and Leo. You can also watch yourself tomorrow when the video of the council meeting is up. It's always kind of fun to see that. City Clerk Sint, would you do the roll call for us, please?
Councilmember Juniman.
Here.
Councilmember Lee.
Present.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Here.
Councilmember Cave.
Here.
Mayor Abrams.
I'm here as well, thank you. Would someone like to make a motion to approve our agenda for tonight?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Cave, the motion to approve our agenda. Is there any further discussion? I see Councilmember Juniman.
National Night Out.
We're already thinking about August.
You started it.
I know, it's so true. I am going to talk about some plaques recognizing our fire department and our police department by the St. Paul Hmong Alliance Church. So I'll add that as well. And Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. Adding a new business in town, Daiso.
Pardon me?
Adding a new business in town, Daiso.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to the approval of minutes. First, we have the May 27th, 2025 City Council Workshop Meeting minutes. Would someone like to make that motion?
I move approval.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave, the motion to approve the May 27th, 2025 City Council Workshop Meeting minutes. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, we have our May 27th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. Would someone like to make that motion?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve the May 27th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, we have our administrative presentations by City Manager Sable.
Thank you, excuse me, thank you, Mayor and Council. Just a forecast of some of the items that are coming up at our next meeting. We're going to have a TIF application from Beacon Interfaith Housing, and then a workshop with Habitat for Humanity housing discussion. This is a continuation of our series of presentations regarding some housing options that we can consider using our local affordable housing aid dollars potentially, and to find new partnerships. We also are going to have a visit from Ramsey County Commissioner Kelly Miller, who wants to provide sort of a mid-year update into the work that Ramsey County is doing. We also have a presentation from St. Paul Regional Water Services on the books for July 14th. Lots of activity, and they're going to be highlighting some of their items that are there as well. Also, if you have not seen this month's Maplewood Living, the back page, which I'll hold up here, is full of events. And I guess the most upcoming one is on Saturday, June 14th at 8 a.m. There is the Golden Frisbee Treasure Hunt at Maplewood Park. There's some details in your Maplewood Living. It's a great scavenger event looking for the Golden Frisbee. And then I know that if we're talking about August, we also have to talk about July. So July 4th, the traditional Maplewood fireworks are not being held on July 4th. They are being moved to Friday, September 19th. So tell your friends and family, find great fireworks elsewhere, and then come back to Maplewood in September. But I really want to just, the summer is filled with events, and so there's great opportunities to connect with the community. We encourage everybody to get out and meet their neighbors and their friends and their families. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Any questions for Mr. Sable? Any comments? Okay, then let's move on to council presentations. Councilmember Juniman, National Night Out.
Yes, 2 months from tomorrow is National Night Out. Put it on your calendars, Tuesday, August 5th, and registration is already open. So get your neighbors together and get to know each other.
Thank you very much. Council members, I'm going to take a little bit of rewind just a little bit because I asked Joe Rube if he would, I forgot that, I'm sorry. I had all of these notes. There were just so many things to talk about. Finance Department put together a really nice little tool, an informal survey, and I wanted Joe to, if you would please show that as to what we're doing. It's right over there. It really was a very cool little thing that families were putting poker chips in order to indicate what they cared about for our budget. So Joe, I'm sorry. Yeah, do you want to go get that and you can just show it to, I don't know. Yes. Thank you, the other Joe.
Supposed for right now, right there.
Thank you. Mr. Rube, you want to talk about that?
Sure.
How that worked?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I know swearing into the topic that's favorite to you. I know budget's coming close second, but what we wanted to do at the direction of Council and City Manager Sable is engage more with our community and our residents and find out what their budget priorities are. So this is the first time in at least the last 15 years that we've actually gone out into the community to talk informally with residents. And this gave us an opportunity to give them a vote on what their priorities are. So anybody that came up to the booth, which we use suckers to help entice the families to come over, so I could engage with the parents and the kids could pick out their favorite sucker. But what they got is 10 chips, and then they could drop it into any category that they want, whatever the priority is. So the nice thing is with only 6 categories, 10 chips, a lot of people are like, I want one in each category because they're all very important. And then it came down to the tricky part of what's your next favorite, and you only have 4 more chips to do it. So we ended up having 180 votes, so about 18 people actually do it. Considering it's the first time we've ever done this, it worked out pretty well. If you like the results, I can share those. Otherwise, they can hold them for
Would you?
okay. Perfect. So Parks and Natural Resources came in with 24 votes, Fire EMS 39, Police 24, Parks and Playgrounds 51, Streets and Public Works 27, and Community Development 15, totaling the 180. So we use that this time, and we're going to continue to use it going forward. We'll be at the Friday night fireworks, and then we're looking at other engagement opportunities that we can use it as well. But it's just nice because it's informal. Had a few people come up and express concerns, had some questions, suggestions on how we approach the budget for 2026, and other people just thought it was kind of a cool way to interact with the residents. So.
It's a great way to solicit participation, kind of informal, kind of fun, but I think it's very telling. It was a bike rodeo at the fire department, and Parks came out first and Fire EMS came out second. So I think that was really very nice. And I have to say, too, thank you, Joe Rube, because he actually made that. Not only is he a talented finance director, but he made that for us. So thank you very much for that. That was a great way to have our residents weigh in on our budget, and it will help us. So, okay, moving on. I have 2 plaques from the Hmong Alliance Church for an event that happened on June 8th, 2025. And actually, Fire Chief Mondor, do you want to step up to the microphone and explain what these are for? It's a great recognition for our fire EMS. It really is indicative of their commitment to the community. That bike rodeo was a wonderful event. This is from an outside organization telling us thank you for all of the work that you do. So do you want to tell a little bit about the June 8th, 2025 event?
Sure, thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. The Hmong American Alliance Church took time to recognize the fire department and the police department for their efforts in helping them with their summer kickoff event. So it was a fun event at the Alliance Church on McMenemy. And recognition really goes to staff. Jody Hallweg and Barb Johnson do a tremendous job of continually finding ways to engage the community. And this was a way of them saying thank you for helping them and their parishioners to get off to a fun and healthy summer.
And how many people were at that event?
The estimates were over 650 people, so it was a very well-attended event, and we invited other partners to come help with that event, and it was very successful according to staff.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Next, we have Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. I always get excited when whenever we have any new business in town. Just last month, a new business, a Japanese bargain store called Daiso, opened in Maplewood. So if you have not seen that store yet, it's in the Birch Run Shopping Center, the north side. So I remember seeing that store a couple years ago in Texas, thinking to myself, why can't we get that in Minnesota? So here we are. We have one in Maplewood. Stopped by. I was there earlier today. Lots of goods, toys, household, lots of goodies that you don't typically see at Walmart, Target, or other stores. So check it out. Daiso.
Thank you very much. And I think that covers all of our council presentations. Now, the reason why everyone is here in the audience, we're not fooled. We know that you're here for something very important. So I am going to turn it over to our fire chief, to Chief Mondor. We are going to swear in some of our new, latest fire and EMS staff.
Thank you, Mayor Abrams, members of the City Council. I want to take a moment. One of the privileges that I have is from time to time I get to recognize honorary firefighters. And we have one in the crowd today who's taken time out of his schedule to pay respect to his fellow firefighters that will be formally sworn in today. So I'd just like to take a moment to recognize honorary firefighter Jeremy Kelsenberg, if he could please stand up.
Welcome, Jeremy.
Mayor Abrams, members of the City Council, the fire service is steeped in tradition. Many of those traditions extend over 200 years. And while the Maplewood Fire Department strives to challenge many of those previous paradigms, we hold on to many of these traditions. One of these is the fire department badge pinning ceremony. Each badge prominently displays a Maltese cross. The 8-point Maltese cross originated during the Crusades when the Knights of St. John banded together to fight the flames and rescue the injured. Later, these heroic fighters were awarded a badge of honor similar to the Maltese cross, and it's come to symbolize the protection provided by the wearer and the loyalty with which they serve. Tonight, we formally swear in members of the Maplewood Fire Department family. These members will embrace the symbolism of the Maltese cross as they pledge to protect our community while embracing our motto. So I'd like to call up firefighter paramedic Tyler Orlando, Seth Miller, Ryan Hang, Wendy Manka, Emma Johnson, and firefighter EMT Diedrich Payne. Why don't you guys just come over? Rehearsal. Two more steps.
That's good.
I want to give you a brief background of each of these fine firefighter EMS professionals. Firefighter Tyler Orlando joined the Maplewood Fire Department with a strong foundation in emergency medical services and fire suppression, previously working for North Memorial in the Woodbury Fire Department and Lakeview EMS. He brings a calm and confident presence to every scene, known for his reliability and attention to detail, especially during high-pressure incidents. His caring nature is evident through his interactions with patients and his dedication to supporting their families. Tyler's commitment to training and teamwork has made him a valued member of the Maplewood Fire Department, and his Aunt Susie will be pinning his badge on him in a moment. Firefighter paramedic Seth Miller serves with dedication and professionalism in his role as firefighter paramedic. Seth came to MFD after serving several years with the Charleston, South Carolina Fire Department. In addition, he was a firefighter intern with the Madison County Fire Department in Richmond, Kentucky. He has an impressive training background and can regularly be found sharing his knowledge with fellow firefighters, especially new firefighters, as they learn this craft. Seth brings a calm demeanor, thoughtful approach, and strong technical skill to every challenge, and he is a helper up here, and his wife, Catherine, will also be up here to pin his badge shortly. Firefighter paramedic Ryan Hang began his career with Maplewood Fire in September of 2021 as a fire EMS cadet. As a cadet, Ryan demonstrated a relentless commitment to completing required fire and EMS training, and he was ultimately the first fire EMS cadet to be sent to the paramedic school by the fire department. Ryan was ultimately promoted to a full-time firefighter paramedic position and has been a tremendous addition to our team. He's passionate about building relationships with our community and is quick to step up to represent the fire department in these activities. Ryan lives out our motto of service before self, consistently demonstrating this value in both his professional duties and personal actions. Wendy Manka brings a passion for public service and community engagement to her role here at MFD. She came here after several years as a paid-on-call firefighter in Hastings. Wendy possesses a bachelor's degree from Howard Payne University in language arts and has helped me review council reports, which is not in the normal duties as assigned as a firefighter. But Wendy's truly valued for her kindness, positivity, and poise under stress. She was recently recognized as the Century College Paramedic Program's most outstanding student and has received the fire department's Meritorious Service, Life-Saving, and Company Citation Awards in her first year of service with the Maplewood Fire Department. And I'm getting a little concerned that Leo might be coming after my job with all of his presentations in front of council. Firefighter paramedic Emma Johnson joined the Maplewood Fire Department with a commitment to serving others and a focus on continuous improvement. Emma previously worked as a paid-on-call firefighter for the Isanti Fire District, a critical care paramedic for North Memorial EMS, and a paramedic for Lakes Region EMS. She earned her paramedic diploma from Century College. Emma is respected for her empathy, clinical skills, and calm demeanor, and was also recognized with the department's Meritorious Service, Life-Saving, and Company Citation Awards in her first year of service with the Maplewood Fire Department. And her husband, Bobby, will be pinning her badge shortly. But last but not least, firefighter Diedrich Payne brings experience and a team-first attitude to the Maplewood Fire Department. He has a strong foundation in fire suppression and has served the West Metro Fire Department in Crystal and New Hope as a paid on-call firefighter for several years. Diedrich possesses an Associate of Arts degree from Inver Hills Community College and played football for the University of Nebraska at Omaha and North Dakota State College. Diedrich is passionate about helping people and making a difference in the lives of others, and he is hoping to contribute to the Maplewood Fire Department's community outreach efforts with the goal of building relationships in our city. And his wife, LaToya, will be pinning his badge shortly. And with that, I will turn it over to City Clerk Sint.
All right. Okay, we're going to do this together in unison. Before, we'll do I, and you'll state your name as you go down the road, and then we'll continue the rest of the oath together. Raise your right hand. I
I, Seth Miller, do Bain, Ryan
solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, that of the state of Minnesota, all ordinances in the city of Maplewood, and the policies and procedures of this department. I will embody our values of integrity and teamwork, professionalism, accountability, and excellence. I understand my behavior on and off duty affects the reputation of all firefighters. I will at all times uphold the highest standard of the professional firefighter and the proud traditions of the Maplewood Fire Department. Congratulations.
If I could please have family members come step up to pin the badges.
They should have this practice. It's hard. I know. Seth. Get close. This only happens once. Get the
Right.
best picture.
Yes.
Would you like a picture?
Yeah. We'll get some pictures.
Okay. Do you want them first with their,
Yep, thanks, Danette.
they're already there?
Awesome.
All right.
Okay. So firefighters want to stay up here, families can, if you want. Feel bad. You can run around.
All right.
And then, again, for lighting, I'll just slide back this way. Shoulder, this way. There we go. All right, now, does anybody else want to?
Yeah, you're more than welcome to stand up.
You don't have to say.
If you want a picture, take it down. Come on up. This is a big time. And we need one with our honorary firefighter.
Jeremy. Jeremy, next to you.
Okay, Rebecca needs to take a slide over. And then Mayor, have you take a slide over.
I didn't wear my badge.
No, no. Good. All right, thanks.
Well, they're going to. Yeah, they get it.
Enjoy your cake, everyone. We don't expect you to stay for the rest of our business meeting.
We gotta do something about this. They always get to go have fun, and we have to do this.
The families are so proud.
I know, it's a wonderful time. I just love it. It's very nice.
Was there a caveat? I'll take your family photo. Pete, you stand up.
Just step.
All right. Moving on to our, the rest of our agenda. The next item is our consent agenda. We have items G1 through 6. Would someone like to make a motion?
I move consent agenda items G1 through 6.
Second.
Moved by Cave, seconded by Juniman. Consent agenda items G1 through 6. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We have no public hearings or unfinished business tonight. We do have some new business, an assisted living facility at 2615 Maplewood Drive. Ms. Parr, this is your topic tonight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. This item may look familiar to you in regards to the property. We'll get to that in a minute, but the request is related to a 32-unit assisted living facility. As you can tell from the overhead, it's located on the corner of County Road C and Maplewood Drive West. It's the red outlined area. It's about 9 acres, and they're requesting a conditional use permit and design review for this project. The site is medium-density residential, and it's zoned multiple dwelling. It is the appropriately guided and zoned for the use that's being requested this evening. As you may recall, this site is vacant. We originally brought this before the council and actually the design review board for a 72-unit, 3-story building. When we went out and did our tour of the city, we stopped at this site. It was heavily vegetated. We didn't actually get out here, but we did talk about that building, so you may recall it from that. The applicant who is with us this evening is proposing a new direction for this site, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. We'll let him speak to that as well if you'd like more specifics in relation to it. The proposed project would be a single-story project for assisted living. It would, we believe, have less of an impact on the overall site. As we take a look at this, we'll talk about it, but some of the things that we think are positive about it, there's less tree impact, there's also less impact to the wetland area, and I think there's some neighbors that are happy to see that this has changed a little bit. The building meets all the setback requirements in respect to 30 feet from the street and 50 feet from the north property boundary. The parking lot is set back 15 feet from the street, and there are 2 access drives proposed on Maplewood Drive. As I mentioned, it's kind of pulled into the east corner of the site. That allows for less impact to the wetland, which you can see there on the overhead here, as well as trees. That wetland is a Managed B classified wetland, and you can see from the green areas there, it's predominant within the site. The ordinance requires a 50-foot minimum and a 75-foot average setback from the buffer. That's something that prior to moving forward with the project, we'll need some verification on the averaging. We don't think that's an issue, but we need to verify that, as well as some other things that you maybe noticed in the conditions. So we'll be talking more about that as the project moves forward, if it's found appropriate to move forward. The majority of the project area is in the overlay district of Coleman Lake. 30% impervious surface max is what's allowed there. This is 11%. So it's far less. It's also less than what we saw last time with the previous project. The building itself, as you can see on the overhead, this is a single story, 25 feet in height, which is much shorter than what you saw with the last project. The exterior of the building will be predominantly golden teak, which is that brownish area you see in the overhead on the facade. And then the side panels are complemented with the manganese iron spot. And just because I know somebody might ask me this, that's what that looks like, just out of curiosity's sake. So it's pretty attractive. We're seeing this used more and more on different buildings. So the trash enclosure will be constructed of brick and located on the south side of the property. And then the mechanical equipment is situated at the rear and it's screened, so it'll have less of a visual impact as well. As far as landscaping and screening, there are 24 of the overall 143 significant trees that are going to be removed from the site. 38 new trees are being planted. Because of the limitation on the types of trees that are being impacted and how many, there are no required trees above and beyond landscaping that is required by that. There are a number of things that we need to take note, which are called out in the conditions. In relation to our environmental aspects, so we'll be looking at that as this moves forward as well. But we are happy to see less trees impacted with this project. 6-foot tall fence along the north property line is proposed there, and you can see that along the top there. We sent notifications to about, I think it was 200 individuals, approximately within 500 feet of the site. Last time when this came forward, it didn't have to go to the Planning Commission because it's a permitted use if it was multifamily for this particular zoning. In this case, when it's assisted living, we require a conditional use permit. So that's why it went this time both to the Planning Commission and the CDRB. We had one individual come to the Planning Commission meeting, and there was some questions about timing. There's someone that is away from their home, and so they asked about timing in regards to notification. It was more of a clarification in regards to the project and wanting to know about start time and things like that as well. With that, staff recommends motion to approve the conditional use permit as well as the design review for the 32-unit memory care facility at 2615 Maplewood Drive. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I know the applicant, Matt Frisbee's here in the audience as well, if you'd like to ask anything of him.
Certainly. Would you like to join us, please?
Matt Frisbee, representing Maplewood and Frisbee Companies. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for having us here tonight. And I do appreciate coming back. I know we met with you, well, actually, we didn't meet with you. It was an architectural review committee starting 5 years ago with a 72-unit apartment building, and now we're coming back to you with this one. Reason for the change, that might be one of your questions, is that the ability for multifamily right now is getting a little bit tougher from a financing standpoint and just in relationship to the construction dollars. So we do a lot of senior living and memory care ourselves. So we brought that to this site as an alternate, and it works out quite well, and the market is quite in need of more senior living in Maplewood. And our hope is that this is one of many phases that we're doing in this area. So.
Thank you. I see we have a question. I don't know if it's for Ms. Parr or for the applicant. Councilmember Villavicencio.
My question is for Ms. Parr. I was wondering, I feel like we've worked quite a bit on memory care facilities in Maplewood. I was wondering if you have any idea what the numbers of how many units we have in Maplewood thus so far?
Thank you, Councilmember Villavicencio. That's something I'd want to verify. I could put it in your FYI on Friday if that's helpful. Last time we took a look, it was actually through a market study that a previous developer did. When I look back at that, I believe that number, and we've added a couple since then, it was around 25 we had in total. That included some smaller. The way they're broken up, they don't call them out specifically on memory care. It's assisted living, so we have some in-home type uses that are licensed, and then we have some of our larger facilities, such as this type of assisted living or the kind you saw not long ago off Whiteberry Avenue. So there's a variety of those. So I would say about 25, but we'll verify that, and I can let you know for sure.
Thank you.
You bet.
And I would be more than happy to share our market study that we just had done this winter to prove this up, because it actually shows the most recent one in the radius that for this site is very specific. The capture rate and how many we think we could have on this site. Usually they factor about 30%, so they might say, hey, you have 100 need for 100, but 30% of that would be, 30 units. So in our site here, between this and like an elderly waiver type program, it's actually 50 or 60 in the true memory care assisted living. And then assisted living would be a separate category, and then the independent senior. So there's a lot of need for independent senior in Maplewood too. But I can definitely share that with the city staff, and they can pass that on.
Yeah, I would appreciate that
Sure.
information. Thank you.
Any other questions? Then, council members, we have two motion, Councilmember Juniman.
Sorry. Mine have to do with, you can guess probably, wetland buffer. I just want to make sure that the developer is aware of all the requests for, or recommendations for wetland buffers and for the averaging and why you get to average. You are following all of those, I take it?
Yes, we have been working closely with Sean Finwall and the other staff too for the last 5 years on the apartment building, which was much larger, or not, I should say taller, I mean, a similar footprint. It's a little deceiving because it is almost a 9-acre site, but truly buildable is about 3. So it's a little bit strange in that sense. But yes, we're very aware of the calculations for the setbacks. We feel very confident. The last comments that we did get back, I think we were able to respond. And then also we've already received approval from the watershed district. And so I think we're good to go, but that's a good reminder. We'll just make sure everyone's okay with our calculations.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Council members, would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve a conditional use permit resolution to construct a new 32-unit memory care facility at 2615 Maplewood Drive.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve a conditional use permit resolution to construct a new 32-unit memory care facility at 2615 Maplewood Drive. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Okay. Councilmember Villavicencio voted nay. The motion carries. The next motion, would someone like to make that?
Motion to approve a design review resolution to construct a new 32-unit memory care facility at 2615 Maplewood Drive.
Second.
Moved by Cave, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve a design review resolution to construct a new 32-unit memory care facility at 2615 Maplewood Drive. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Councilmember Villavicencio voted nay. The motion carries. Thank you very much, and welcome to Maplewood. Do you know what your timeline is?
Right, very good question. We're looking at wrapping things up here in August for all the financing, and hopefully by September 1, we're under construction.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
The last item on our agenda is our 2026 strategic plan review. Mr. Sable, do you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a continuation of the discussion that started on April 23rd, and I think as I've shared before, there's a sequence to these things, and so there's the creation of the starting block, refinement, a review of the draft, and then an approval. So this is not the last time you will have this conversation. So, but I will say, if you have comments or suggestions or edits, make them along the way. This will follow a similar process to how the EDA strategic plan has gone. So encourage you to just provide comments, and every little bit helps. So thank you.
Ms. Knutson, I'll recognize you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. My name is Lois Knutson, and I am the Senior Administrative Manager for the city. One of my major responsibilities is overseeing and helping do all the work behind our strategic plan. Typically, when I stand before you, I am reporting on the status of our plan. However, tonight, as Mr. Sable said, I am talking about some updates that we are proposing as we attempt to make changes to our plan. Our current plan was developed in 2019, and since then, one update was made to the strategic priorities, and that was in 2022. Since it has been so long, we have decided that it was time for an updated plan. Staff and council met on April 23rd to work on the first step of developing a new plan, which is setting the strategic priorities. Through a series of exercises and brainstorming, 3 strategic priorities were identified, and those are safety, sustainability, and development. So keep in mind that the strategic priorities are what we do. It's also important that we are consistent in how we do it. So we have identified several lenses that we will maintain as we work toward achieving those priorities. The first is we are a high-performance organization. And as part of that high-performance organization, our staff has identified pillars that have been established that we are using as we work through all of our day-to-day operations here in the city. And those are exceptional service, culture that supports and empowers people, and strong relationships. Additional lenses are engaged and informed decision-making. That's both for the council and our staff. And then financial stewardship. We always try to keep that in mind, too, with every decision we make. So we'll take a look at the individual priorities, the focus areas, and that changed the setup, but okay. First of all was safety, and we have defined that as enhancing community well-being through proactive systems and infrastructure. And as part of that retreat that we had, we identified focus areas. And those are ensure public safety and effective emergency response, foster community engagement and support resident well-being, strengthen regulations and code compliance, maintain and enhance infrastructure and environmental systems, leverage technology and manage public assets strategically, expand accessibility and mobility for all residents, and invest in prevention strategies and resource readiness. As you see, not all of these focus areas are just police and fire. A lot of times people will see safety and they think public safety, but we have expanded that to include other areas where we feel safety is also important. Sustainability. The definition is building long-term resilience and organizational strength. And the identified focus areas: cultivate a connected, engaged community, support and develop staff and human resources, advance environmental stewardship initiatives, maintain strong financial health and stability. And as again, you can see, sustainability is not just about the environment. We took that term further and added other areas where we feel it's necessary. And then lastly, the third priority is development, shaping a thriving, inclusive, and forward-looking community. And the identified focus areas: promote residential development and thoughtful redevelopment, expand life cycle housing options for all demographics, grow a vibrant and resilient business community, invest in people and placemaking, and strengthen human connection and community growth. And once again, development is not just community development. We've used that term in other areas as well. Oh dear. Recently, the EDA set up a strategic plan and identified several goals. Those goals are here: understand market potential and build on it, be a strong partner in new development and redevelopment, foster growth in existing small businesses, leverage outside resources to improve the lives of residents and the prosperity of our businesses, support housing that is safe, healthy, and contributes to household wealth, work to assure the necessary labor market skills match workforce demands. And the intention here is that these goals that are already identified by the EDA will be woven into the strategic plan. They should fit beautifully in to several of these focus areas.
We have a question, Councilmember Cave?
And I don't know if it's for you, Lois, or really it's for everybody, but on the EDA strategic plan and goals, the second to last, supporting housing that is safe, healthy, and contributes to household wealth. I just feel like it contributes to household wealth. What if your house doesn't go up in property value? You know, I just found it contributes to household wealth is kind of a, I just thought it was kind of like a I don't know, it's kind of like a pie in the sky. It's way out there, and it shouldn't really be something we want to have control of that.
What we were trying to get at was prosperity.
Yes.
And focus
And
on
ownership.
home ownership.
Yes, but you can't, but wealth is not.
Right.
I mean, it's,
Do you have a better,
No.
different suggestion? Contributes to prosperity?
I mean,
or
yeah, I mean, to even home ownership would be enough for, I mean, you just can't put too many things that are unattainable to different people, because wealth could mean just the fact that I own a place, another could be I just redid everything in, you know. So I just didn't know, I just couldn't remember when we were talking about that. I know it had to do with home ownership, but is that enough in this spot to put home ownership?
So, Councilmember Lee, do you have a better suggestion for that?
Thank you, Mayor. I saw that too, but the term that I'm used to is actually generational wealth. So instead of this generation of homeowners, maybe it's preparing it for the next few generations. So I would I would suggest instead of household wealth, I would say generational wealth. So it may not
Okay.
be immediately, but long-term.
And
I like that. I like the way that it fits in.
Yep.
Because we're supporting housing that
Yes.
offers, or that will lead to generational wealth. Anyone else want to weigh in on that? Okay,
Okay.
back to you, Ms. Knudsen.
So then now would be the time where we might want to make any revisions or edits. So if I think the attachment 1 to your report is just kind of a printout of all of this on one page. And I don't know if anything jumped out at anyone, if there's something you think we missed, if there's something you think shouldn't be there, or we should revise the wording.
Can I ask a question? You know, we have had our strategic priorities on the back of our council packets, our folders, and it is also contained in every single agenda item that comes to the council. So is what we will be seeing in the future, is it the 3 with the definition, the safety, sustainability, and development? Or is it something else? What will be on the back and what will be included in our staff report? And the reason that I ask that, it really helps to focus what our strategic priorities are, to always keep them top of mind. And so just about every time I go through my council packet, I'm looking at the priorities, and I'm focusing on what is the strategic plan relevance, because we can see that on every single item that comes before us. So what can we expect to see?
I think we'll have to work with Andrea as well, as she's the keeper of the format of the form. But for sure you would identify which priority, but I think you would probably also add which focus area. Just so it's more specific than just safety.
For me, these have always served as guardrails.
Yep.
And a way for us to measure what it is that we're doing and to make sure that we stay on track.
Right.
With what really our mission is as a city council. I don't know who is next. We'll go,
May I
Mr.
just
Sable.
thank you, excuse me, thank you, Mayor and Council. The longer version of this, and we talk about some next steps, is we will work with the communications team on developing some new look and layout, so the back priorities will be there and be fleshed out with a little bit more detail. This is clearly a very high-level look at what was discussed about, and so we'll continue to add more elements to that. And I made eye contact with City Clerk Sint, because we have already been talking about formatting. And one of the things that we're going to do is provide a couple of templates that we say this might be the next round of council agenda formatting, and get your feedback on what works and what doesn't work. So I'm not going to say that's going to be implemented in August, but our intent is to rewrite the council agendas to be consistent with the directions set by the council.
I really appreciate that. Councilmember Juniman and then Councilmember Lee.
I was just going to suggest that we could put the 3 priorities on the back, and then they could do the focus points within the reports.
Thank you for that thought. And Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. I also agree with that because I do refer to it quite a bit. Like every time anything comes to the council, that is something that I look for. And that also helps me think about questions that I may have. If it's a financial based issue, I know who to call, or just kind of helps drive me. So it's helpful. One of my pieces, I think we had a great conversation the day of. I think one piece that I'm missing from reading this is I know this is still a very high level and you guys are still working through the weeds of it. But I think the one thing that I'm missing is the sense of community in our strategic plan here. I see community under safety, community under sustainability, and then also community and development. I wanted to just throw it out there. I mean, just thinking about this, one of the important current strategic priority for me right now, looking through this, is community inclusiveness. I think it's very important to be intentional in calling that out, so that way we are very intentional in the work that we do in engaging our community. I was going to see there's a couple items in here that can be perhaps categories or moved into another category, but I think it's important to call out a community. We are in the business of people, the business of building our community. So if that's a possibility, I have a couple things that I could recommend if council is interested, plus a couple of the items that are already on here that we can maybe regroup into a different section, adding another strategic priority.
Why don't you explain that, and then we can hear from other council members. Go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. So I was thinking, safety, sustainability, and development. So we have foster community engagement under safety, cultivate a connected, engaged community, strengthen human connections and community growth. So something that I thought about was adding another strategic priority plan. And what I was thinking about adding was maybe moving some of those around, but then adding strengthening partnership. These are just a couple things that I wrote. The first one is then strengthening partnership with cultural, faith-based, and community-rooted organization, promote inclusive civic engagement and representation across city processes, increase access to city services through language access and disability inclusion, and advance equitable policies that reflects the lives experienced of the diverse community and our residents. So those are some of the things that I thought about, and maybe including a couple of the other items, because then I think when we are making policies, those are the things that we think about as we're talking through our decisions. I think this is an important component because this is where we bring in our community to the work that we do. So just some thoughts.
Okay. Other thoughts? I think Councilmember Villavicencio was next.
I was just going to comment on what Councilmember Lee said about the beginning part of community inclusiveness. I was also trying to think of a way to bring that back in, and then also around that, something about like community-centered decision-making. If maybe not both of those, but somehow working those in. But I have other thoughts that I'm still trying to work on, so if I can share them at a later date too, as we're working on this, I hope to.
One thing about this is that this is a work in progress.
Yeah.
And one thing that I think we really need to strive for, that I know when we did our last strategic priorities, was to make this as clear as possible and not use buzzwords. So that, we don't want to have a word salad. We want this to be very, very clear. I think that adding some additional things about inclusiveness, that is the one that was actually updated. I remember working on that update with Councilmember Neblett so that reflected more clearly, because these priorities then are going to be then worked into all of the things that we do as a city so that we can measure our success. So clarity, 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 being as concise as possible is something that I think we have to really look at. Councilmember Cave, your thoughts?
Just my thoughts on when we first did this, at the community center, or community center. I hear what you're saying, Chambry, getting, I feel like we did community and we did it broad enough, just like we did sustainability, so we wouldn't have to say every little single thing underneath it. I thought it was more encompassing, so we could, if there was something that came up, we could say, hey, we said community, and it means all these things, but not to have it all on here. So I hear what you're saying, you want something more specific. I And I looked at it when we did it, that when we were speaking about community, we went everything all-inclusive with community. You know, so I see both sides to it, but I just thought maybe we were cutting out all the words too, so we could say, you know, enhancing, because we do use community a lot in here, and it is very important, because our Maplewoods community is, you know, our number one, and I think it's everyone's focus here. I mean, I don't want to put words in, but, so that was my thought process when we were going over this, was not to make things too nitpicky, because then all of a sudden it gets finance. Now we got to start saying this, you know, about finance, and now we have to start saying this about the environment, because are we really looking at all the important things that I'm sure Kathy has a list of for the environment she would want us to put on sustainability? Yeah. But, you know, because everyone, there are passionable things in here, and so it's just like, do we keep it broad, or do we start making it, you know, do we start putting certain points in there? That's it. I think
I totally understand where you're coming from, and this is a complete rewrite.
Yes.
This is taking our 6 objectives, or our priorities, and making them into 3 priorities. And the 3 priorities, even though they have a simple name, they are very broad within that priority. So it's a different way of looking at it, and I think it streamlines things. I'm concerned a little bit. I mean, I came around to recognize the idea and the value of it, that it's 3 points, but they're very broad points. How do we avoid people thinking that safety is all about public safety, sustainability is all about environmental, and development is all about building buildings? Because those are the typical words that people associate with those 3 words. So I think we need to make sure that we did spend, you know, better part of a day going over this. I just want to make sure that this is clear, that it's concise, but it also represents what we worked so hard on. And I really don't want to fall into that trap of safety, sustainability, development. This is much broader than that. And how do we accomplish that? You know, we can ask the questions as council and then send staff back and we'll look at it again. We've got the easy part. We just get to highlight some of those things that we'd like to see. But our community is number one, really. And so how do we make it more clear that the community is number one? It's not the normal use of the words safety, sustainability, and development. Councilmember Juniman, I think, was next.
Well, I was going to suggest that some of the points that Chonberry brought up, rather than making a 4th priority, would actually fit under both sustainability and development. I think they would anyway.
So maybe, Councilmember Lee, would you be willing to share those with staff, and then they can kind of look at some of those ideas and see where they might fit?
I sure can, because I did, I mean, thanks for bringing that up too, Councilmember Juniman, because I did write, like, the first one I thought about was some of these could maybe fall under, like, sustainability or safety. So I think it's just calling them out perhaps under those pieces, as you mentioned earlier, maybe focus areas, then that way we can be very intentional when we're talking about that particular key piece. So I can share these, but thanks for bringing that up.
Councilmember Cave.
No, I'm.
Okay. And Councilmember Lee, did you have something else to say?
Nope.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Councilmember Villavicencio, do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I agree. I think the sentiment.
Okay. So I'll just ask staff, did we give you enough direction and clarity so that you can continue to work on? It's a work in progress. You know, this is an important document because it really forms our guardrails and it makes sure that we're going in the right direction. City Manager Sable.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and council members. I want to thank Lois for shepherding the cats and the mess and the words and trying to balance all of this, because it's a complicated conversation when you're talking about it. There feels like a level of finality to say this is the 2026 to 2028 strategic plan. I mean, that it is important to get the words right. The other thing I think we'll work on is making sure that we incorporate some of the language around the EDA strategic plan, because even though it's a separate legal entity, it is the same 5 individuals who drive it. And so I think there's some ways to incorporate some of that work into this more clearly. And so what you will see at our next conversation will be the 3 strategic priorities, a more fleshed out and integrated language around each of the focus areas. Take into account, I heard inclusiveness, I heard people, I heard community-centered decision-making, I heard the word partnership. That's certainly part of how we try to operate internally as staff, as strong relationships is one of our pieces. So what you will see next time will be significantly more detail in each of the pieces. And then we've also, Lois and the team have been working on taking those measures from the old strategic plan that are still relevant and integrating those into this so we know what we're measuring that would get at these things. So I'll say that next one you'll get about a 90% draft. We'll make revisions, and then we'll bring, like I said, we'll bring at the third time the 100% plan for consideration probably at the end of July. But it nicely coincides with the start of the budget process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other comments or anything you'd like to add, any council members? Thank you, Lois, again, for bringing all of this together.
All
And
right.
thank you for staff. We really appreciate it. We're getting there. We're making progress.
Yes.
So thank you very much for that. Council members, we have concluded our agenda, and with that, we are adjourned for the night. Thank you, everyone.
What was your estimate tonight, Mike?
Pardon?
What was your guess tonight?